Actually, no, it's not that difficult to follow the footstep ni President Duterte. Kung ang iyong kasi hindi naman na yun nagawa ni Digong So ibig sabihin susundan mo na lang yun. It's not hard to follow that footstep and it's not hard to push through with the foreign policy ni Digong nung panahon niyan bilang presidente. If ang ultimate aim mo, alam mo, it boils down to the purpose and the objective. Okay? Ang ultimate purpose kasi, ang objective ni President Duterte, nung presidente siya, is to ensure that the Philippines is safe. Sa akin kasi ganito, walang bansa na ibang bansa, no? Especially yung mayayaman na bansa with a lot of possibility na mag-invest sa Pilipinas in terms of businesses and in terms of industries, na mag-i-invest sa isang bansa na may potential na magkaroon ng military conflict with another country. Wala. Lumaki yan sa Malacanang at saka lumaki yan sa Estados Unidos ata.
Oo nga kasi ako Cebuano ako, Bisaya ako. So meron tayong mga pagkakataon na gahi or matigas, mating dila. 'Di ba? Hindi ko na na-encounter sa kanya din, Prof. Ako inaamin ko minsan pag malalaman mo talagang Cebuano ako dahil the way na magsalita. Pero siya wala siyang sabi nga, walang mother tongue.
Wala siyang matigas. Kasi hindi naman siya lumaki doon at hindi siya marunong magsalita ng salita namin na waray.
Ang pangit naman ang description mo, Dok. Wala siyang matigas.
Hindi kasi ang matigas. Kasi hindi naman talaga wala siyang matigas na buto. Para magbanat ng buto para sa mga tao.
Social siya.
Kailangan ng tulong.
Islang naman siya magsalita. Masyado siyang Islam.
Yes, because Americanized and sa Amerika yan lumaki.
So yung
at saka sa Malacanang during the time of,
Pero apelido lang pala niya yung doon, galing doon.
Yung kanilang pamilya, yung talagang yung mga kanununuan nila, kahit paano doon talaga. Kumbaga, doon na rin nabuhay or doon nagsimula ang kanilang angkan pagdating sa politika. Pero yung mga anak na yan, tulad niya, hindi naman sa doon lumaki.
Oo. At Prof, sino ba yung pinag-uusapan natin?
Si Tambi o si Marky?
Ang tumatang.
Okay, dito tayo, Prof, no? Unahin muna natin kasi 'di ba nagkaroon tayo ng discussion last time pero yun naman na interview ng Australia. Tamba, Australian news 'yun eh. Tapos may recent na interview naman sa Bloomberg. Unahin natin ito kasi bago itong mga labas na statement na naman dahil sa panibagong issue last Sabado. Sa Bloomberg dito at inamin ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos sa interview niya. Kasabay din ito sa pagbisita sa bansa ng Secretary of State ng Estados Unidos. Sabi niya, and I quote, "The threat has grown." Dito sa sa rehiyon natin with China. "And since the threat has grown, we must do more to defend our territory. And so maybe perhaps that's what people are seeing. A more robust defense of our territorial rights as recognized by the international community through international law, through the UNCLOS." Ayan. Ano ba ang masasabi mo dito, Prof?
Unang-una, napaka-vague ng statement na naman ni PBBM. What do you mean by threat in the first place? He should define what is the threat. Ano ba ang threat? Is it what he's referring to is the South China Sea dispute? I mean, it's been there for the longest time. Hindi pa siya presidente, may dispute na sa South China Sea. And wala namang threat directly coming from China. And do you really think China will invade the Philippines? I don't believe in it and I don't think so. So unang-una, what is the threat that she's referring to? Second is what is the territory that he's referring to na sinasabi niya na we need to defend our territorial rights. In the very first place, when you talk about territory, may boundary talaga ang Pilipinas. Na based on UNCLOS, na territory natin, ibig sabihin, we have sovereignty. But when you go beyond the 12 nautical miles, that's not anymore our territory. So we don't have territorial rights, really. We only have sovereign rights, which is the EEZ. But the EEZ is even complicated issue. So hindi ko maintindihan yung mga ganyang klaseng statement ng isang pangulo na hindi malinaw. And it gives, ang ano lang din is these are all, statement na hindi maintindihan ng tao kung ano ba talaga ang ibig mong sabihin. For people like me, probably I understand where he's coming from. And it's only a way of telling the people na, justifying the moves of the current government. And what are these moves na ginagawa ng current government? Like, for example, the presence of EDCA. And renewal of EDCA agreement is upcoming, I think, at the end of this month. It's either March 28 or 29. I'm not exact, but that is the two dates that, you need to renew the agreement, the EDCA agreement. I think these are all just smokescreen to justify the militarization of the Philippines. What are the militarization na sinasabi ko? Andyan yung EDCA. Then you have the RRA with the Japanese. You have the Australian troops presence in the Philippines. Then you have what? You will have a presence of Japanese troops in the country. And then you have this agreement, defense military agreement with UK. All of this are, being, the South China Sea, what's going on in there is being used as a defense to the militarization of the country. Because ang tanong ko, what is that threat that you're talking about when you talk about China? China will not invade the country. That is one thing I'm sure about. That's one thing that I can see. I don't think they're stupid people that they will invade a country like the Philippines. They know the experience of being invaded because they have that in their history. And I don't think the Chinese would want to have that kind of repeat of history in another country because they experience what you call humiliation because of the invasion during the colonization period. So I don't see it that way. So hindi ko maintindihan itong mga statement ni PBBM na threat from China. So what is really the threat? The South China Sea area is disputed. As far as China is concerned, ang sinasabi ng Chinese, there's no dispute because their claim is sovereignty. So they have the claim of China is not EEZ but sovereignty. So ibig sabihin, teritoryo nila yan. Ang sa atin kasi, we are saying that we have EEZ there based on UNCLOS. But if you really look at the two, for as far as China is concerned, there's no dispute. Kasi pag tinignan mo yung UNCLOS cannot settle, it's not competent to settle sovereignty issues. Yun yung dapat nating isipin. So anong gagawin mo? Makikipagbakbakan ka, tapos sasabihin mo, we need militarization or we need military aid coming from United States, Australia, Japan, because there's a China threat? I don't think so. These are just justification for all of this militarization that is going on in the country. Yun yung mga yung mga statement kasi ni PBBM, always vague. Walang definite na definition kung anong ibig niyang sabihin. Now, my challenge to the people in government, try to define what do you mean by threat. Because what is happening in the South China Sea is for me, there are bakbakan in there, like may water cannon ka, whatever. Kasi part yan ng dynamic kasi disputed yung area. So, hindi kasi nag-uusap yung dalawa kung kailan papasok itong Pilipinas at papapasukin ba ng China yan o hindi. So, you need to communicate kasi. You need to negotiate. Kung hindi kayo magne-negotiate, magkakaroon pa talaga ng gitgitan sa South China Sea. And one of that is what happened this last Saturday na nag-water cannon ng China on our resupply mission. So that is really an expectation. As far as I'm concerned, hindi na bago sa akin to kasi nangyayari yan every now and then. Kasi nga, there's no communication, there's no negotiation na nangyayari na both sides will meet halfway. Yun yung problema. So, we push, they defend, we push, we defend. At saka, kung sinasabi nilang they defend, they will use their own way of defending their so-called rights and their assertion. Ang water cannon kasi, if you really look at the measures by which like a Coast Guard in sea will be able to reprimand another Coast Guard, it's a normal use. Yung water cannon kasi hindi yan firepower eh. Yan, tubig eh. Nakita mo sa Taiwan and Japan, sometimes they do that. Nagwa-water cannon sila sa isa't isa. Nagwa-water cannon ang Taiwan against Japan. Japan would do the same in the disputed area. May disputed area din kasi doon. So these are normal things that happens in a disputed area, especially when you talk about sea.
Pero
or maritime.
Laging sinasabi ng ating pamahalaan handang depensahan, but during that time na binubuhusan ng tubig, binobomba ng tubig yung kinunsay natin na barko, hindi rin tayo nagbuga ng tubig. Parang nagpakawawa lang tayo. Nasaan na yung pagdepensa? Lagi natin laging sinasabi na depensahan yung mga mangingisda. yun nga sa atin na may mga ano pala dyan, mga PCG yata na mga personnel ba? May mga personahe mula sa sa ating pamahalaan. Wala tayong naibuga. Kaya nga magtatanong ka, ano bang purpose na doon? Pinabayaan mo lang, paglalayagin mo, papupuntahin mo doon sa BRP Sierra Madre, bahala ka na. Tapos pag binomba ka ng tubig, sige lang, para maganda yung drama. Parang ganun ba?
So it's really, yun yung basa ko dyan eh. It's like staging a drama. Painting China as the aggressive party. Kasi kung tutusin, mayroon namang water cannon din ang ating PCG eh. May water cannon eh. Pinakita pa nga nila yan last year ba or somewhere. Basta may water cannon na pinakita, demonstrate nila na may water cannon din. Ang mga vessels natin, Coast Guard yan. Of course, it's equipped supposedly with water cannon. Bakit hindi sila mag-water cannon din? So nag-water cannon yung dalawa. It's just normal. It's not a normal incident in the South China Sea. But what I mean is, this water cannon thing are part of the measures kapag may nire-reprimand or nagre-respond sa isang insidente ang isang Coast Guard ship. Lalo na kapag feeling nila may intrusion sa kanilang pinoprotektahan or something. So may water cannon din tayo. Bakit hindi sila nag-water cannon? At saka, ang ano ba talaga ang purpose dyan? Bakit, halimbawa, nag-radyo ata ang Chinese side na, you're intruding in our sovereign territory, blah, blah, blah. So, mayroong communication. So, anong gagawin mo? Hindi makipag-communicate ka na, okay, we are just doing a resupply mission and blah, blah, blah. Hindi eh. Talagang susugod ka. Kung susugod ka, talagang mag-a-action din ang Chinese side. Ganun yan eh. So, ang hindi ko maintindihan, why do we have to do that? Are we creating some kind of dramatic scene for the international community to see it and to paint China in a bad light? Is that what we really, is that the intention behind? Kasi ganun ang lumalabas if you really analyze things deeply eh. So, ang tanong ko, what's the purpose of doing this drama? Or what's the purpose of staging a drama? What's really the purpose of that? Do we get something out of it? No. Do we get our relationship with China better? No. Nagkakaroon lalo ng gulo, nagkakaroon ng gitgitan, nag-harden ang position ng China. And do you really think we will win over this? Of course not. So, but what is the reason behind this kind of super dramatic thing? What is the reason behind it? Ang nakikita ko lang, to be very frank with you, is these are being used to justify certain decision of the current government of the country, of the Philippines, that maybe Filipinos will say yes. But if the Filipinos would really think deeply, they should not say yes to these things, especially the militarization of the country. Second is yung ang daming problema na domestic na bansa, hindi pinag-uusapan sa dyaryo kasi ang laging nasa dyaryo ang South China Sea. When in fact, that South China Sea dispute can be talked about, can be negotiated quietly, diplomatically, but quietly in a peaceful manner. You don't have to always put it out in the public kasi wala kang mariresolve kung gagawin mong megaphone diplomacy yan. Kasi lalo lang nagkakagitgitan, lalo lang nagkakasakitan, pati damdamin ng mga tao ng both sides, lalong nag-harden yung position ng bawat isa. And you cannot resolve a dispute by doing this kind of things. So yun yung basa ko eh. Ulit tayo ng ulit eh. Ayun nga sinasabi ko, these incidents are just repeating and repeating and repeating. Pero ang tanong, bakit nagtatanong ka pa kung bakit ang China, ganun ang reaction, when in fact, this has been repeating all over. So it's like so stupid for us to ask why China is doing this when we are repeating the same thing also on our side. So what's the purpose of this? Where do you want to go? Or is this just a dramatic thing to justify certain things that this current government wants to do that actually people in the Philippines doesn't like this kind of things? So yun, like for example, EDCA. I don't think Filipinos really understand EDCA and the implications of EDCA, especially when you have this so-called plan of the United States to have war with China. I don't think if Filipinos will understand this, they will not support this. But tingnan mo, sino ba ang nagdi-discuss sa media nito? Kayo lang sa SMNI ang nagdi-discuss ng mga issues na very critical and relevant sa bansa natin. Ang ibang media and other mainstream media, they don't discuss these things deeply because they don't want the Filipino people to understand things deeply kasi alam nila na kapag naintindihan niya ng mga Pilipino, hindi papayag ang Pilipino na malagay ang Pilipinas sa isang sitwasyon na alanganin. At the end of the day, wala tayong makukuha at malalagay pa tayo sa peligro. Yun eh. Ang mga dyaryo, kahit wala ako sa bansa ngayon, lahat ng dyaryo nire-review ko. Walang ibang nadidiscuss sa dyaryo kundi South China Sea, South China Sea. Pero ang daming problema ng bayan.
Prof, meron tayong papakitang larawan. Di ko lang alam kung bakit nagamit. Pwede ba natin i-ano? Ayan! Yan ang Philippine Coast Guard. Philippine Coast Guard yan, ha. Meron tayong water cannon na dinemonstrate natin. Meron yata tayong ano niyan partner taga ano yata ito BRP Teresa Magbanwa. Meron tayong parang demonstration na isinagawa diyan. At minsan ang
you see, meron pala tayo
meron tayo. Pangit kasi ang script siguro. Pero Prof, meron sinabi ang Philippine Coast Guard way back last year, December. Kasi natanong din, itong sinasabi natin, bakit hindi tayo gumamit ng water cannon? Ang sabi nila, ayaw nilang gayahin ang ginagawa ng ng Chinese Coast Guard. PCG won't stoop down kumbaga. Dahil ang water cannon ay ginagamit lang sa pag-apula ng apoy. During sa halimbawa may mga pang-apula ng apoy lang, hindi daw ginagamit pang-opensiba.
Hindi kasi po ang water cannon is part of the parang measures na ginagamit ng mga Coast Guard kapag may gusto silang or may isang vessel silang gustong hindi lumapit sa iyo or lumapit kasi naman firepower. Ang na lang yan siguro ng PCG, kumbaga dramatic na sagot. Pero kung tutuusin, bakit yung Taiwan and Vietnam or China-Vietnam gumagamit? So do you really think Vietnam is lower than China just because they're using also, or they don't have that moral ascendancy because they're also using water cannon against the Chinese vessel?
Or
mayroon silang
mababa ba ang tingin ng Pilipinas sa mga gumagamit ng water cannon? Kasi sabi niya ayaw namin bumaba sa kasi yung Taiwan at saka Vietnam, parang ganyan ba yung message natin? Or baka daw, sabi naman dito, baka daw mahina yung pressure ng water cannon natin. Hindi naman siguro.
Hindi naman. I think hindi naman mahina yung pressure. It's really about the fact, kasi kapag gumamit ang ating PCG ng water cannon, tapos nag-water cannon din sa CCG, wala na yung drama na Philippines is the David and China is the Goliath and Philippines being oppressed and Philippines is being, put down by a big and a giant country like the China. Wala kasing dramang ganun. So, you will not appeal to people na you are being oppressed or you're being, ikaw kinakawawa ka, sinasaktan ka kasi maliit ka lang bansa. Ito silang bully yan sila kasi inaano tayo, maliit nga lang yung vessel natin, ang laki-laki ng vessel nila. Kasi yung dramatic na ganun, walang appeal kasi yan kapag tayo mismo gumamit din ng water cannon, nag-water cannon tayo sa kanila kasi ang mangyayari niya, equal footing kayo.
Pero,
diba? O
Prof,
yun, walang drama kasi doon.
Ano pala yung
diba?
sinumpa nilang tungkulin pag may inaapi-api dyan sa kiniklaim natin na atin? Halimbawa, kung mga mangingisda yan, so titingnan lang? Pababayaan lang natin?
Ayun na yun.
Diba? Pababayaan lang natin na bugahan ng water cannon, wala tayong gagawin. Yun lang ba yung klase ng depensa na ibibigay nila? Diba? Parang hindi naman yata.
Ang tanong kasi, Admar, ano ba talaga ang purpose nila dyan sa mga ganyang nangyayari skirmishes sa South China Sea? Is it really to defend? Is it really something that is very altruistic? Or is it something just to create an issue or create a drama out in that part, in the disputed area? Yun yung tanong na mas maganda eh. Bakit? Kasi kung ang mo talaga is defense, then you can use whatever alternative na mayroon ka bilang isang institusyon to also reprimand them kung anong kailangan may reprimand. Ang kaso hindi. Ang tagal-tagal lang mayroong water cannon ng Pilipinas sa mga PCG natin. Bakit hindi sila naggumagawa ng gano'n? O hindi rin kasi probably then they're very afraid as well. Kasi baka naman matalo din sila sa water cannoning. Yes, kasi hindi maganda yung water cannon nila. Pwede rin ganun. O, di ba? Mapahiya pa sila kasi saan napunta ang pera? Kasi may pera dyan, investment yan eh.
Okay.
Pwede rin may ganung klaseng scenario na, kapag ginamit mo rin kasi yan, tapos makita din ng mga tao na ano nangyari sa water cannon namin? Bakit ganyan ang kanyang performance? Hindi ganun kaganda, o. Mabuking din siguro. We don't know. There are a lot of possibilities at a lot of things that you can see if things happen like this. So, mag-a-analyze din yung tao. At maraming magsisilip dyan. So, pwede rin ganun ang storya. So, di ba? Pero at the end of the day kasi, Adman, ang issue ng South China Sea is there for the longest time. Ang mga skirmishes na yan, nangyayari talaga dahil disputed nga. Ang tanong kasi dyan, paano mo i-avoid ang skirmishes na mga tulad nangyari nung Saturday? How would you avoid that? Would you want to go head-on with China on this? I don't think so. How would you do that? You negotiate and you communicate properly. At ang sabi ng China sa kanilang side, ang nabasa ko na report, is parang they reprimanded yung ating resupply vessel kasi may dalang construction materials. Ayaw ng China nga na magdala ng construction materials. Pero kapag mga pagkain, humanitarian goods, okay lang. Walang problema. Yun. Isa din sa mga reason na yun. So, ang hindi ko maintindihan, why do you insist on something na yung kabila, ayaw nga nila. Pero sinasabi natin, we have the territorial, we have sovereign rights or sovereignty over the Ayungin Shoal. That is wrong. We don't have sovereignty over Ayungin Shoal. That is part of our EEZ. But that is even very controversial and not really, you cannot use the EEZ to justify na you just have to pass through kasi ang Ayungin Shoal is being considered as a military issue. It's not even within the purview of UNCLOS and it's not within the purview of arbitral ruling because the arbitral ruling did not rule over Ayungin Shoal because it is a military issue. And that is a fact and that is in the arbitral ruling. So bakit ka naggigit-gitan sa ganun na hindi mo nga nakikita kung nasa tama ka o hindi? Yun yung problema natin eh. We insist on something without even looking at the facts on the ground. So yun yung kasi yung Ayungin Shoal talaga, it's a military issue. Hindi yan issue lang ng sovereignty. May complication yan kasi mayroon kang military ang treatment na yan. Kasi yung Sierra Madre is not a Coast Guard ship. It's a military ship. Kaya naging military issue na yan. So hindi mo siya pwedeng i-justify na arbitral ruling or UNCLOS because UNCLOS is not even competent as an instrument of the international community to mitigate issues that have something to do with sovereignty and even with military issues. The only way to do that for two countries to understand is to talk and negotiate and resolve the problem. That's the only way to resolve the issue in that second Thomas Shoal or Ayungin Shoal. So
Yes,
hindi ko
boss.
maintindihan ng gobyerno bakit nagigipag-gitan tayo dyan na mauuwi yan sa delikado o peligro. At ang talo dyan, Pilipinas.
Yes, Prof. Si Carlo po ito. Prof, patungkol sa negotiation, pag-uusap, masasabi ba natin na kulang ang effort ng gobyernong ito? Kasi nabasa ko dito, Prof, bago lang ito, nung first week of March, sinabi ng Pangulong Marcos na he wants to establish a direct line, phone line kay Xi Jinping ng China to address these issues at hanggang ngayon, wala daw. Paano ba yan?
Paano magkakaroon ng direct line siya kay Xi Jinping when Xi Jinping President Xi Jinping doesn't trust him? Pero mapipilit mo ba ang president ng China? Who are we? Are we that powerful? We're not powerful country. We're not Russia or the United States. Even United States probably doesn't have a direct line with President Xi. So what's the point of this? Bakit? Yun lang ba ang solusyon para magkaroon ng negosasyon dyan sa South China Sea to have a direct line? I mean, come on. You cannot coerce another country or the president of that country to bend down to your wills and caprices if they don't like. You have to respect their decision because they're a sovereign state. Now, kung ang gusto ng China is communication through the diplomats, then so be it. At the end of the day, what is the ultimate purpose that we have here? But the ultimate purpose is for the two countries to have understanding and for the two countries to solve the problem in a very diplomatic and peaceful way. Kung kaya naman ng mga diplomats i-solve yan, then why is it that the president, the PBBM wants to have a direct phone call with President Xi? Yun ang hindi ko maintindihan. Is it on our side a caprice? Is it like, lang natin, bas gusto lang natin? Paano kung hindi nga nila gusto? Or ayaw niya? So, anong gagawin mo? Mag-stop na tayo? Hindi, may ibang channel of communication. You have the diplomats, and the diplomats can talk and they can arrange things and they can resolve problem, and the diplomats report to their principal. Sino ang principal nila? Of course, the president of the two country. So what's wrong with this kind of ano ba tong mga ganitong arguments na to? Hindi naman ang negotiations kasi, to be very frank with you, hindi ang mga presidente ang nag-uusap dyan. Ang negotiation, ang nangyayari dyan, ang mga diplomats yan ng dalawang bansa ang nag-uusap, including the other relevant officials who understand the issue. Yun ang nag-uusap dyan. They talk, they come up with negotiating points, they exchanges, and then they come up with a solution. And this solution will be brought up to the principal, which ito yung mga presidente ng dalawang bansa, ipipresent nila yan, titignan kung tama yung solution, and then approve, and then implement. That's how you're gonna do it. Hindi yung tipong silang dalawang nag-uusap, because even the two are too busy to even talk about this issue. The president of China is very, very busy if you really look at him. He's the president of the second largest economy in the world. And do you really think he has time to focus only on those issues? Of course not. Come on, this is really impractical the way I see it. I'm not kidding. This is really like funny. I don't understand why do you have to push something like this. Siguro before, si President Duterte, may siya direct line kay President Xi. It's precisely because they have personal relationship and they are personal friends. Aside from the fact that they are counterparts. Ibig sabihin, President siya ng Pilipinas, President din yun ng China. And they have personal relationship. And that's a different level. Kasi iba yun friends sila So, siguro, they talk as friends. And if you are friend with a person, even outside of your official duty, you can talk. Yun yung difference siguro. So, yun yung mga bagay na yan, dapat iniisip, no? At hindi ginagawang justification why things are escalating in the South China Sea.
Siguro Prof ang nakikita rin yung sincerity. Kasi when former President Rodrigo Duterte is very sincere when he said a word, ginagawa niya. Ito, Prof, nakikita ng taong bayan, iba yung sinasabi ng presidente natin, iba yung ginagawa. When he said that he is a friend to all, enemy to none, iba naman. And when he said na we are not going to war, we will not escalate the situation, pero pinayagan naman ang daming base militar sa Pilipinas. So saan direction tayo ngayon?
Tsaka malala natin, Prof, malala natin nung hindi pa siya naging presidente, na itanong si Boy Abunda ba yun? Parang naitanong din siya, parang sabi niya, hindi ako papayag na may makialam. May makialam natin sa problema, in between sa Pilipinas at China, hindi niya papayagan, pero nag-iba lahat.
Talagang baliktad. Para kang nag-turn around na sobrang, na para bang, ano nangyari? Diba, iba yung mga sinabi mo sa ginagawa mo. And one thing also that we have to understand, China. Why China, maybe they don't want, yung request ni BBBM na direct line with President Xi. Probably, it's something also, too late. Why? Because ang dami ng sinabi ni BBBM na sinabi niya ito, like, we will resolve the problem in the South China Sea in a peaceful manner, negotiation, and blah, blah, blah. And at the other hand, we will be sensitive to China in many ways. And then you have the EDCA, you have the RRA, you have the trilateral pact between the United States, Japan, and the Philippines. These are all military defense pact or military moves that actually ang perception ng China is pointing at them. And this is like countering them. These are containment policy led by the United States. So kung ikaw din naman ang Chinese, would you trust still the leader of the Philippines? Kung lahat ng sinasabi niya is not necessarily the same dun sa actions na nangyayari on the ground. Of course not. Yun yung sinasabi ko lagi sa mga articles ko. We have to be very careful in how we present ourselves to the international community. When our leaders would say these things and then do another thing, that is not good because we lose credibility and we lose trust from the community, from the international community. And China is a member of the international community, a big member of the international community. So habang ganun ang ating mga palisiyan, foreign policy natin, ibang sinasabi ng presidente natin in public, pero ibang nangyayari sa ground, minsan ito yung sinabi niya, mamaya iba na naman, walang country sa mundo at alang leaders sa mga iba't ibang country will take the Philippines seriously. Much more a country like China. Especially yung leaders nila. Kasi nag-iiba-iba yung statement, hindi nagtutugma yung statement din sa mga nangyayari at mga ini-implement ng mga polisiya sa Pilipinas vis-a-vis your partner, which is like, for example, China. So yun yung problema ng Pilipinas. Nawawalan ka ng credibility pag nawawalan ka ng trustworthiness bilang isang bansa at bilang isang partner. Kasi hindi nga nagtutugma yung salita doon sa gawa. Yun ang lagi kong ini-emphasize yan kapag nagsusulat ako ng aking column sa Manila Times. When you talk about foreign relation, when you talk about how we should be perceived by the international community, kapag na-perceive ka ng international community na hindi trustworthy, magsasuffer talaga ang sense of legitimacy mo in the international level. Hindi ka talaga paniniwalaan na ng ibang mga leaders ng ibang bansa. Ganun talaga yun. But of course, except, mayroong yan dyan kasi ang Western Alliance led by the United States will not do the same because these are controlled by the United States. What the United States says, they will just follow. Ganun yun eh. Yun. Pero other countries outside of the Western Alliance, ilang country lang yan, G7 lang yan, hindi na. Mawawalan talaga sila ng trust sa atin kasi parang, ano ba yan? Sabi niya ganito, tapos iba naman nangyayari. Sabi niya ganito, pero iba nangyayari. Wala ka ng credibility. Ganun talaga yun.
Prof, mahirap ba na ipagpatuloy na lang ano yung diskarte ng nakarang administrasyon in handling international relation? Kasi nakita naman natin, President Duterte before, kaya niya pagsabayin eh. Iba't ibang bansa, kaya niya pagsabayin. China, Russia, America, pinagsabayin niya for the benefit of the country. Mahirap bang gawin yun, Prof?
Actually, no. It's not that difficult to follow the footstep ni President Duterte. Kung ang iyong... Kasi hindi naman, na yun eh, nagawa ni Digong eh. So, ibig sabihin, susundan mo na lang yun. It's not hard to follow that footstep and it's not hard to push through with the foreign policy ni Digong nung panahon niyan bilang presidente. If ang ultimate aim mo, alam mo, it boils down to the purpose and the objective. Okay? Ang ultimate purpose kasi, ang objective ni President Duterte, nung presidente siya, is to ensure that the Philippines is safe. And to ensure that the Philippines will not be dragged into any conflict, especially military. And to ensure that the Philippines is sovereign. Na ang soberenya ng Pilipinas ay hawak ng mga Pilipino. Yun yung kanyang purpose at objective nung panahon ni President Duterte. So anything na magti-trigger, na mawawala yung objective na yon o malilihis ng landas, ang objective na yon, President Duterte will do something na hindi siya mawala. Kasi yun ang objective ng isang leader na talagang nagmamahal sa bansa mo. Hindi malagay sa peligro ang bansa mo, yung soberenya mo preserve, national integrity mo preserve, at alam kung anong tinatawag na national interest. Yun ang kanyang purpose eh, yun ang pinoprotektahan niya, malinaw sa isip niya yun. So kung titignan mo, hindi mahirap sa kanya gawin yung foreign policy na inumpisahan niya na enemy to none and friends to all and good relationship and balanced relationship with different countries including China, Russia, United States and other EU countries. Kasi yun nga yung goal, yun yung kanyang objective, which is very good. Now, kung hindi ganun ang objective ng isang leader ng isang bansa tulad ng Pilipinas, then mahirap gawin yung nagawa ni Digong. Kasi ibig sabihin, mas personal ang interest mo. Mas kung ano ang, hindi country ang interest siguro, baka personal. Ganun siya. So hindi mo talaga magagawa ang nagawa ni Digong. Kasi that goes against the logic kung ang interest mo is more catering to yourself and to your personal needs. So mahirap yun.
Baka interest
mahihirapan siya.
Baka interest ni Uncle
May
Sam.
interest kasi dyan eh.
Interest
Kasi
ni Uncle
dalawa
Sam.
ang interest lagi. Ang interest ng pang-sarili at interest na pambansa. Now kung ang interest mo is pambansa, magagawa mo yung nagawa ni Digong.
Prof.
That is not a question anymore.
Prof, bilang isang PhD economics candidate, ayan. Itong
Yes.
tanong natin dito sa titulo, PBBM, nang hihimok o nananakot ng investors? Kasi meron tayong tsa-tsa. At layunin ng tsa-tsa, makahimok tayo na marami pa mag-invest dito, buksan ang ating ekonomiya. Nag-ikot ang ating Pangulo. Pero yung paparating niya na pagpunta sa US parang investment ba yung ano niya? Parang hindi yata dahil tatlong bansa magkakasunduan pang depensa pa rin. Pero pinagmalaki na trilyon piso ang halaga. Tingin mo itong tanong na ito, ano kaya ang sagot mo, Prof, kung nanghihimok ba siya o nananakot din at the same time ng investors? Sa galang...
Actually, kung titignan mo, tingin ko ang tingin ko dyan, sa totoong tingin lang. Unang-una, ang karamihan ng ating engagement with the United States is defense and military. At saka yung pondo talaga ng ating AFP at saka yung ating mga military and defense establishment, karamihan nanggagaling sa the US. Kaya nga tayo very close with them. So right now, you have another meeting na pupuntahan niya, tapos may sinasabi ng mga investment, pero more on defense pa rin. Ay sa akin kasi ganito, walang bansa na ibang bansa, no, especially yung mayayaman na bansa with a lot of possibility na mag-invest sa Pilipinas in terms of businesses and in terms of industries, na mag-i-invest sa isang bansa na may potential na magkaroon ng military conflict with another country. Wala. That's one thing that I can tell you. Why? Because mahirap kasi sa isang investor ang mag-i-invest ka sa isang bansa na nakikita mo sa horizon na ang geopolitical situation niya at ang foreign policy niya magulo at in a way, may possibility na ma-engage yung bansa na yan sa gulo. You will not invest in that country. That is really a fact. Bakit? Kasi pag nag-invest ka sa country na yan, baka malugi ka kasi anytime soon magkagulo, paano yung investment mo? Pwede siguro yung mga hot investment lang na portfolio na madaling isang click lang sa computer, withdraw na agad ang investment ng isang investor. Pwede siguro. Pero yung mga investor talaga na magtatayo ng pabrika, ng mga industriya at maglalagay ng tao at pera sa Pilipinas, kung nakikita nila sa Pilipinas, anytime soon it will be engaged in a conflict, a military conflict with, let us say, China, then this kind of investor will not go to the Philippines because it means that we are not stable, politically speaking and geopolitically speaking. So may downside yan sa ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. So ang ginagawa ni BBM is twofold. Sinasabi niya sa mga Pilipino na, yeah, we can get investment from the United States. Parang sinasabi niya na, don't worry, kahit galit sa atin ng China, we have the United States to back us up. But it's wrong as well. Why? Because ang United States, when they said that they will invest in the country, it's not the government of the United States that is investing in the country. Ang ginagawa ng government ng United States, hinihimok niya ang private sector nila na pumunta sa Pilipinas at mag-invest. Still, at the end of the day, that's capitalism. Ang capitalism is always oriented to profit. Palaging profit ang motivation niyan. So wala kang tinatawag na share sa mga tao. So parang ganun lang yan. Kung ano yung ginagawa ng mga oligarchs sa Pilipinas, ganun din ang mangyayari. Kasi private sector yan. Hindi yan state-owned companies. Kasi sa Amerika, ganun ang ginagawa nila. So in a way, that is not good for the country. So dalawa yan, no? So may impact yan sa Pilipinas. Ang una, siguro smoke screen na rin na okay, may mga investors na manggagaling sa Amerika, may ganito silang pledge. These are pledge. This is not yet investment. Pledge pa lang to. Wala pa tong permahan, wala pa tong kontrata. Pledge pa lang, hindi pa yan pera. Pero pangako lang yan that can be subjected to realization or not. Depends kung anong gusto ng Amerika na pwede natin ibigay na hiningi nila. Kasi gano'n naman, may exchanges yan. So isa yan. That is a negative consequence. Pangalawa, kung tinatawag mo attraction of foreign investors in the country coming from other countries, kapag na-perceive nilang Pilipinas that will be in the middle of something na geopolitical that would create an issue, a military conflict, I don't think the investors will come to the Philippines and invest talaga. Yung talagang investment na magtatayo ng mga kung ano-ano, na mag-generate ng economic activity sa Pilipinas, jobs and other improvement. I don't think so. I really don't.
Nakikita mo rin ba sa mga sitwasyon ngayon or sa senaryo ngayon na aabot tayo sa punto, kumbaga, sino yung unang gagawa ng opensiba na makakapag-ignite dito sa gera? Gera ba agad ang posibleng mangyari? Halimbawa, talagang ipipressure din yung China, gagawa ng hakbang itong sa Estados Unidos, or ang unang gagawin ng China, hindi agad makikipaggera. Economic muna ang babanata niya, lalo na dito sa ating Pilipinas. Tatanggalin muna yung mga investment siguro, yung unang mga kasunduan natin sa kalakalan natin, bago umabot tayo sa puntong magkakaroon ng gera talaga.
Alam mo, Admar, napakaganda ng question, pero ang answer to your question is not definite. Depende kung sinong mauna dyan. Kasi ngayon, nakikita mo, gitgita na sa South China Sea. In a way, you can see that China is really exerting so much restraint, not using its power. It's not even flexing its power or its muscle, So, ang nangyayari lang, water cannon, ang dating, hindi firepower yan, water cannon. To a greater extent, may gitgitan talaga. So far naman, sa side ng China, when it comes to this incident, they are actually maximum restraint. Pag sinabi maximum restraint, talagang controlled, na walang silang gagawin na would trigger a conflict, a military conflict in the South China Sea. Yun ang kanyang stand, no? Yun ang tingin ko din. So, that is one scenario. Pero hindi kasi natin alam hanggang saan ang maximum control ng China. Kasi we don't know the ground eh. Yun nga sinasabi ko, ang hirap dyan sa ground kasi may miscalculations yan. Pag dumating sa punto na nagkaroon ng miscalculation, baka mamaya nagkaroon ng, gitgitan at magsimula ng military outbreak. So, that is one scenario. So, hindi natin alam kung yan ay mangyayari or kung mangyari man yan ba ang mauuna or yung mag-flex ng kanyang economic muscle ang China. Kasi to be very frank with you, as of now, wala pa ako nakikita, so far from my perspective, wala ako nakikita na China is flexing its economic muscle against the Philippines. Wala silang ginagawang ganun.
Or do you think mauuna yun, Prof? Yun yung uunahin nila? Kasi halimbawa, nabanggit dito sa...
I don't think so. I don't think so. At this time, I don't think so.
I mean, mauuna siya compare sa sumiklab yung gera.
I don't think mag-flex ng economic muscle ang China anytime soon. I don't think so. I think they're still patient with us. So, ang nangyayari lang ngayon, parang batuhan ng statement, no? Batuhan ng statement.
Itong pinaka-recent ng China, Prof, sabi niya, and I quote, Defense Ministry.
The Defense
Spokesman.
Minister.
Sabi niya dito, and I quote, "We warn the Philippines to cease making any statements that may escalate tension and stop all acts of encroachment. If the Philippines continues to challenge China's bottom line, China will continue to take resolute measures to firmly defend." Ano kayang nakikita mo dito, Attorney Prof, to defend its territorial sovereignty and maritime rights and interests? Hanggang saan ang nakikita mo na gagawin ng China kung iuugnay mo dito sa statement nila?
Okay, ang nakikita ko dyan ganito. Pag sinabi kasi nila, China will do its everything to defend its rights and interests in the South China Sea, I think it's more of the water cannon thing. Kung ang pinag-uusapan lang natin, Admar, is Filipino and Chinese, okay? I mean, yung mga Coast Guard lang, hindi kasi yan, ang Coast Guard kasi civilian ships eh. So, yun, hanggang water cannon tayo or laser, whatever yung dating issue ng laser or whatsoever. So, hanggang dun lang. However, kapag nag-involve ang isang external power, like the United States, will show military muscle or defense, or do something against China, kunyari in defense of the Philippines, that is another issue. That is the most dangerous issue. Because it means that will trigger something and spark something in the South China Sea. Or even in the Taiwan Strait. Yun yung sinasabi ko. Kaya nga, di ba, lagi nilang ini-emphasize. The issue in the South China Sea is between the Philippines and China, and the United States has no business in interfering in this issue precisely because they are not party to the conflict or to the dispute. But the moment an external power will be involved and would do something in terms of act, ayun, ibang usapan yan. Mahirap na usapan na yan kasi it will involve not only China, it will involve the allies of China as well. I don't have Russia in there.
Prof,
so yun yung sinasabi ko na dapat ang conflict is only between us and them, and we can siguro kahit water cannon yan or whatever, or mag-exchange of words tayo, masasakit, maaanghang na salita from both sides. As long as there is no firepower involved and there's no military action involved, it's okay for me. Medyo mahirap ang sitwasyon, relationship are affected, but still okay. But the moment it goes up, and that's a different story. And that's something that is not good for the country.
Mm-hmm. Prof, yun nga, ang pag-uusapan ng tatlong bansa kasama ang Japan at Estados Unidos sa darating na Abril, Marso pa tayo ngayon, no? Sa Abril, sa pagpunta ng Pangulo is patungkol sa agreement, no? Depensa pa rin ang pag-uusapan. So nakikita natin na kahit na sa mga ibang bansa, puro defense ugnayan patungkol sa depensa, ang malimit na nakukuhang pahayag natin sa Pangulo sa kanyang pagbisita sa ibang mga bansa. Nakita natin yung pagpupursige na pinapalakas natin yung ating depensa. Pero okay ba na ipagtuunan ng pansin ng Marcos administration yung sa mga kapitbahay natin na pagsisikap din, yung sa Southeast Asia? Kasi 'di ba may sinusulong din ng ASEAN na Code of Conduct dito sa South China Sea. Do you think, kasi ito yung mga kapitbahay, claimants din sila, ito yung mga direct claimants talaga compared doon sa Japan, sa US, meron pang sa Germany, sa Australia. Na mga usapan. Pero itong ASEAN na kapitbahay ng China at kapitbahay natin na meron ding nagkakaroon din tayo ng involved din dito sa agawan sa diyan sa South China Sea. Ang sa kanila ma-push through itong code of conduct na ito.
Code of conduct.
Mas okay ba ito na ito yung pagtuunan ng pansin natin kasi magkakapitbahay, magkakarelate tayo, mag-usap tayo sa China compare dito sa itong mga ginagawa previous ng administrasyon?
Yes, I would agree with you na mas maganda instead na makipag-usap ka sa Western Alliance ng United States na puro defense and military na at the end of the day malalayo yan sa Southeast Asia. It's in Europe, it's in the other side of the Pacific, the United States. Wala naman, pag nagkagit-gitan, wala namang impact sa kanila eh. Ang may impact talaga ay Southeast Asian countries. Ang ano ko nga dito sa ating gobyerno is, why don't you talk it out with the rest of the claimant states and China, the Code of Conduct, and push for it? Ang hindi ko maintindihan, ang alam ko kasi dyan sa Code of Conduct na yan, other claimant states, in the South China dispute, they want it pushed and concluded. Ibig sabihin, they want the Code of Conduct para maayos ang pormahan dyan sa South China Sea at alam ng bawat isa kung anong kanilang boundaries in terms of actions. Kasi yun naman ang essence ng Code of Conduct. So from my friends coming from Vietnam, from Malaysia, and other claimant states, because I talked to them as well on this issue, and they're okay with the Code of Conduct. Ang hindi ko maintindihan, ang Pilipinas. Kasi tayo actually, ang laging may something, pag nag-uusap sila about Code of Conduct, we insist on something. Tingin ko kasi, ang Amerikano, ayaw niya ma-push ang Code of Conduct. Ayaw na magkaroon ng Code of Conduct in the South China Sea between ASEAN countries and China. Kasi pag nagkaroon ng Code of Conduct, wala na sila sa eksena. Kasi ibig sabihin, hindi nila magugulo na ang South China Sea dahil malinaw sa mga claimant states kung paano sila nagbibehave at anong nire-respeto nila sa bawat isa at paano sila lalarga dyan sa South China Sea. Kasi yun ang essence ng Code of Conduct. I feel like it's really the dictates of the United States na sometimes we oppose certain things in the Code of Conduct kasi Pilipinas ang nag-oppose eh. In most cases, pagdating sa kung ano yung mga wordings ng Code of Conduct, even before may sinasabi na the Philippines wants to have a third party in the Code of Conduct. A third party would mean, an external power or external country na hindi naman kasali sa ASEAN, hindi rin kasali sa South China Sea dispute, na maging part ng Code of Conduct. Hindi pwede yun. I don't think China will bend on that, and I don't even think the other countries in ASEAN will agree. Kasi ang Code of Conduct is between the ASEAN states and China. Sila talagang nag-uusap dyan. So parang madali lang naman siguro mag-agree on certain things kung gusto mo talagang mapabuti at maging peaceful and stable ang South China Sea. Na kung hindi mo gusto dahil mawawalan ka, so gusto mo lang ng gulo, talagang hindi ka mag-agree. So may mga ganong klaseng dynamics. Sa akin, ang Pilipinas should work more with the Southeast Asian countries, especially the claimant states, to push through with the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea between ASEAN and China. You cannot isolate China in that Code of Conduct. Bakit? Because China is the biggest player in the South China Sea. It's a bigger player. You cannot do that. Kasi kung kayo lang din magkakaroon ng Code of Conduct, hindi pwede yun kasi you have one player out magulo pa rin yan eh. So kaya nga ASEAN state and China, so that these two sides will talk and will come up with that code of conduct that will make the South China Sea a peaceful area for everyone to be happy. Ganun ang purpose niyan eh. Ang tanong, bakit hindi na pupush? Sometimes it's us who make question about some things in that code of conduct. Kaya hindi yan napupush kasi ang ASEAN is consensus. If one country says no or may opposition sa word or whatever, hindi yan magpupush through. So tayo dapat bilang Pilipinas, if we really want a peaceful South China Sea, then we should cooperate more with ASEAN and ASEAN countries to push for the code of conduct to be concluded anytime soon. China, as far as I know, is willing to do that. I know that they want the code of conduct pushed through and concluded anytime soon. So tayo dapat proactive tayo.
Prof, ang kanilang narrative naman na inilalabas ngayon, ang ibang pinalulutang ngayon is meron daw secret deal ang mga Duterte sa China. Meron ding lumalabas na secret deal, lumalabas na mga issue ng US, ba't natatawa si Prof agad? Secret deal ni Marcos daw at ni US. Alin ka mas naniniwala na secret deal?
Ito yung ano ko dyan na analysis ko. President Duterte and the Dutertes, I don't think they have a deal with China. That's one thing that I can say. And I think this is really the truth. Why? Because hindi mahilig si Digong sa mga deal na ganyan eh. Walang ganon. And even China, it's not in their character to make a deal with an individual. Usually, China makes deal with a country, state to state yan. Hindi yan individual to state. No, there's no such thing.
Long term kasi long term pag bansa ang kausap mo as bansa kaysa sa individual kasi mawawala din yan, bababa sa pwesto.
Wala din yan eh. That's one thing that we need to understand about China. That's the problem with Filipinos. They don't try to get to understand China as a country and the characteristic of the Chinese people. China will not make a deal with a person. Usually, if it's the government, the Chinese government will deal with the government and country to country yan. If you talk about deals. Siguro, ang sinasabi lang kasi ni President Duterte, si President Duterte and President Xi, outside of their official function or outside of government, outside of politics, they are friends, like people, like human beings. They're friends. And they're entitled to friendship for God's sake because they are human beings. So that is not a deal. That is just friendship. But that is not a deal. Ngayon, kung tatanungin mo naman ako sa
yung isang deal,
United States.
Saan ka mas naniniwala?
Yun naman ang sasagutin ko.
Apa, sige pa.
Okay? Oo. Yun ang sinasabi ko kasi Americans likes to do this.
Pero
take note. If you look at Americans, they always deal with a person because sometimes ginagamit nilang person to get what they want in a country. That's why that's why you look at the diba? They always back up. Zelensky is back up by whom in the Ukraine crisis? It's back up by the United States. Ano yung dealing ng United States through Zelensky? Even if the whole Ukrainian country doesn't like it anymore, pero ang kanilang ang kinakausap nila at binabackupan nila si Zelensky. Because if Zelensky is not backed up by United States, Zelensky will not anymore be the president of Ukraine. Kasi ang United States mahilig sa ganon. Yung tao, in exchange kung anong mga personal interest niya, yun ang i-feed ng United States, sila ang mag-deal. It's not the country to country. Ganon sila eh. So kung tatanungin mo ako, kung mas may deal si PBBM with the United States, the possibility of that is higher and believable more compared dun sa Duterte China. The deal ko no. Iba nga yung analysis ko nga eh. Mas mahirap, mas nakakaano pa nga yung analysis ko dyan eh. Ngayon ko lang nare-realize yung mga bagay before the election eh. Kasi nung election, akala natin iba eh ba? Tapos parang sinasabi nga ng karamihan na budol. Pero ako meron akong mas malalim na analysis dyan eh. Sabi ko nga, even before the election, my analysis is they already talked to the United States even before the election.
Aba, alam mo, narinig ko rin yung ganyan
Hindi, yun yung analysis ko ha. Yung
Meron din
analysis
akong
ko,
narinig
ngayon
na
ko lang
ganyan,
sinasabi.
Meron din akong narinig na ganyan.